Nostalgia is a very weird thing, and I'm going to noodle around in the video today talking about why you shouldn't get stuck in the past. Been thinking about nostalgia, honestly, like, is it good? Is it bad? Is there such a thing as being too nostalgic? And I do think there's a cautionary tale to share, because if you become so jaded towards the new, always comparing things to your memories of the past, it can really prohibit your opportunity to grow. The new PCSX2 emulator update just launched. This is a great PlayStation 2 emulator, and I've been playing my old PS2 games on it. It's a great way to experience them on a bunch of different systems. Like, a lot of PCs can run PS2 games really well right now. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, in playing some of these games, I've totally gone down the rabbit hole of like, wow, old times, so good, gaming has lost so much. I mean, no network updates, no terms of service agreements, you just hop in, you're playing the game immediately. They're typically like much more self-contained, smaller scope games. You don't have the big 50-hour modern, crazy adventure games like Cyberpunk, what I'm playing through right now. But at the same time too, it's really cool to jump back in the past and just see how simple and fun and straight into the point these old games are. And so naturally, as I'm watching and playing more retro content, I want to see more videos about that online. I go to YouTube, and what do you find out? So many of the modern gaming versus old gaming videos start popping up, and they just boil down to old games good, new games bad. And it's not always the case, but most of the time, that's the narrative that's just like everywhere right now. Now, a few thoughts on that. Number one, yeah, from a monetization and player experience standpoint, so much of the AAA space has burned the gamer the last 7-8 years. I am not a fan of, live service, free to play. I hear those buzzwords and I'm running because there's just so few that have done it right. Developers in the AAA space have just prioritized money over everything. And we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. I feel like everybody's gotten to that point. But I think this is where nostalgia can get dangerous, because that cynicism towards the new can really turn you into like a continual contrarian, somebody who is against all that is new and unwilling to objectively try new things, to really open yourself up to experience it and make the choice for yourself. Maybe you have a coworker or a friend in your life who is like this. They always take the opposite stance of whatever your opinion is. I had a friend in high school who would continually do this. I don't even want to like over exaggerate. You could say it's a beautiful day out. Sky could be blue, and this person would go, "No, it looks horrible, it's gonna rain." They always would be a contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian. And ultimately, I kind of felt sorry for that person, because they would watch movies or play games and they really couldn't enjoy anything. They always had to take the other side of the argument. And this is the attitude that I think is really important to avoid. It's okay to be really apprehensive towards these new games. I am. I'm like super not into jumping into the hype of something that looks like it's totally prioritizing money over the players. But at the same time too, I don't want to become jaded. I don't want to become bitter to where I can't experience new things with an open mind. I think about it this way. Any creative outlet, let's say games or music or film, they don't just improve in a linear fashion over time. It's not like a movie that came out in the 60s can't be just as incredible, if not better, than a lot of the modern movies that are coming out. There's these intrinsic, intangible things that go beyond just the technical aspects of production. Yeah, movies will get more crisp and more clear, and games will get prettier with nicer graphics and better technical, possibilities. That doesn't mean the gameplay or the music or the overall experience is somehow substantially better just because time has gone on. This is why you can go back in the past and find incredible movies with wonderful stories that took huge risks in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. And this is why you can also go back to PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era games. You can go before that and see brilliant games that still hold up to this day. I mean, look how many 2D platformers still exist. And that whole thing is pioneered back in the NES era, and we're still using that as a blueprint to this day. If you look at any artist, so often they look to the past for ideas and for inspiration. And this is why I'm absolutely loving playing older games right now. There's so much fun in a game like Skate 2 or SSX, or even going back and playing Shadow of the Colossus. But the key is I'm trying not to lock in so hard to the past that I'm unwilling to try anything in the modern era. I learned a really good phrase about 7 years ago, and it's the fact that you do not grow within your comfort zone. In order to grow, we typically have to step out of our comfort zone and experience the unknown, the things that really require us to take a chance. And if you get too cozied up to the things that you loved when you were younger, or the memories of the things that you loved when you were younger, you can miss out on a lot of awesome things that are just happening right now. One argument I kind of hate seeing online when people look back to the past for games or music or whatever that they love, oh, well, you just miss being a kid. How often have you seen that mentioned online? I see it all the time on my videos, and it drives me nuts because there are games and movies I look back to at periods of my life that were super stressful, not the kid era, devoid of responsibilities. It's not just that. But I do think what has changed is back then, like pre this current version of the internet, I do feel like people really decided what they liked and what they didn't more on their own. Right now, it feels like a hive mind. I do believe people are losing the ability to figure out for themselves what they like and why do they like it. People rush to review sites, to forums, to social media for everything. New movie coming out, oh, better check Rotten Tomatoes. New game coming out, better check IGN, Metacritic, whatever. People are so obsessed with knowing what the hive mind thinks of something. They're not taking the opportunity themselves to experience it and decide for themselves. And that's super important. I knew with Tears of the Kingdom that I was going to buy that game, that it was probably going to be great, but that I also didn't want to know anything about it. I went dark, didn't watch previews, didn't read reviews, and played that game in a bubble, very intentionally. And I put about 50 hours into Tears of the Kingdom before wrapping it up, and without a doubt, my favorite gaming experience in the last 3-4 years. One of my favorite Legend of Zelda games. I thought it was incredible. And it was really nice to go in completely blind, to not have to think about other reviewers or what people were saying, and to just experience it myself without any bias from the outside. And more I'm trying to do that with games that I know I am interested in. There's plenty of games I would never do that with. Like I said, AAA industry will burn gamers time and time again. So you don't want to always be there on a dice roll publisher or a game that you're worried about on day one, because chances are you could get a port that doesn't work. You could get a horrible day one experience. Worse yet, you could get a game that shuts down really quick. So you don't have to take that approach with everything. But the point I'm trying to make is it's really important to just decide for yourself what you like and what you don't like. And a good way to inform those preferences is to celebrate games or music or film or whatever it is that you love. Go watch, go play, go pursue those things. And then when you evaluate things that are new, you can remember the elements from the past, but don't let those elements prevent you from experiencing new stuff in an open way. Don't always gravitate towards the known entities. Sometimes it's okay to take a chance, step out, and try something new. In fact, it is critical for self-growth. So the way I really am thinking about nostalgia right now is, hey, it's totally okay to celebrate the past. Just don't get stuck in the past. I want to thank you all for watching. I especially appreciate these weird, more esoteric commentaries. Sometimes it's nice to just talk through these things with you. I hope you had a great week. Really appreciate you. Have a nice weekend, and I will see you again on Monday.